What's up, YouTube? This is Take Five Podcast. I'm Aaron Action.
I'm Drex Nasty.
I'm Dustin.
Rosie.
All right, today's guest, who you can find on Instagram at 1985 Road Dog. He was also LA Guns' former road manager in '88 and fellow YouTuber from Before I Forget. Please welcome Mike Corcione. Did I pronounce that right?
That's right, man. You got it right. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, today's topic is top 5 LA Gun songs. All right, Mike, what'd you have for number 5?
For number 5, let's see. I'm going to tell you right now that all 5 of my picks come from the first album.
Well,
so
Makes
that's
sense.
going to wipe out a bunch of mine.
Number 5, I've got Bitches Back.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all my stuff comes from the first record. I mean, it's just, that's LA Guns to me. That's the sound of the band that got the record deal. That's the 5 guys that got signed to Polygram. That's the songs that got and that cemented the band's image to people. You know, I mean, this is I could just talk about it, but that, you know, I'll give you my reasoning as we go along, I guess. But that's number 5, Bitches Back. I mean, you know, they still play that song, I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen them in a long time.
All right, Rosie, what'd you have for number 5?
So for number 5, I have Let You Down.
Okay, a newer song?
Yeah, that's newer, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. I went new, but not that new. Maybe that is a good song, though.
Yeah.
All right,
And that's
Dustin,
the
what'd
only
you
really
have?
newer song I have on here.
Right on. All right, Dustin, what'd you have for number 5?
Number 5, I got off the third album, Hollywood Vampires album, which I only like a few songs off of, to be real honest. And this one I like a lot, though. It's probably my favorite one off of it, Dirty Love.
Yeah, it's a pretty good song.
All right, Trex, what'd you have for number 5?
All right, I'm going to give my statement real quick. This is one of my favorite bands. Got into them in '89. I traded a Metallica Master of Puppets tape for this. Never heard of this band before, and I traded it. As soon as I played it, it was awesome. I never heard nothing like it before. But my number 5 is 17 Crash off of Cocked and Loaded, 1989.
Yeah, good pick, man.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, my number 5. I never really liked this album when it first came out, but it kind of grew on me. Now it's one of my favorites after the first one, of course. But my number 5 off of Cocked and Loaded, off of Hollywood Vampires, Over the Edge.
Yeah, that's a good song.
They still do that one live.
Yeah.
I think it's a great song. All right, Mike, what'd you have for number 4?
Over the Edge was that was their attempt at Led Zeppelin right there. But number 4, I've got Sex Action. Again, first album.
Classic.
You know, that's the you know, they were more of a, you know, back in those days, they, you know, before they hit the road in '88, they were still playing clubs and stuff in LA. They were a punky kind of a band. They were much more of a punky edge. They weren't a heavy metal band until, you know, they really made the move into heavy metal with Cocked and Loaded. It was just a different, you know, they were writing with different people. They had different management. Everything changed with Cocked and Loaded. Everything about the band, the way they operated changed. And they kind of, like, you know, say they lost their edge, but they lost some of what made them different to me. But, you know, different. Cocked and Loaded was just a different era because they changed everything about their business, everything. So it was, you know, not that punky edged LA Guns. I mean, that first LA Guns album is, you know, it's not great production, but it's great. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's sonically, it's not great, but it's got attitude all over it. So Again, number 4, Sex Action.
You
Another
know,
great video.
Cocked and Loaded is also when Tracy Gunn cut his hair.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tracy's had different hair things going on there for years. And yeah, Cocked and Loaded, if you look at the video for Rip and Tear, his hair is like about shoulder length, I think. And then, yeah, he's been hair challenged, from day one. So
Me too.
I've
Dustin knows
seen him
about
go.
that.
Yeah, me
And
too.
look, he won't, he acknowledges it. The guy did ads for hair extension people in the 80s in LA. I mean, Tracy's not shy about it, but he I don't know, man. His hair was always changing. Every other day it was like a new look.
That's great. All right, Rosie, what'd you have for number 4?
For number 4, I went with Electric Gypsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rosie, you stole my number 1.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Great riff.
All right.
Great video.
Yeah. All right, Dustin, what'd you have for number 4?
When my number 4, I went back, like Mike touched on the true roots of the band, the pre-Phil with Paul Black on vocals, Robert Stoddard on guitar, Nicky Beat on drums,
On the island.
and obviously Mick and Tracy. A demo song called "Stranded in LA." The super rock and roll type song. Mick played bass then, so I wanted to touch on and Mike's kind of already said it, the roots of how the band really started, and that's one of the songs I think in their original set on the demo, "Stranded in LA."
Awesome. All right, Trex, what'd you have for number 4?
Probably the newest I've ever will get on this list. Beautiful from Man in the Moon, 2001. I did like that album.
Yeah, I was going to go there too, but I knew you'd have it. See, in my number 4, I kind of went the same route. Like, I could have put every song from the first record on there in in any order in there because they're all great. That's one of the greatest debuts of all time. But to change up a little bit, I went to Man in the Moon. Also, I went the title track for Man in the Moon.
Yeah,
I think that's a good song. Yeah. All right, Mike, what'd you have for number 3?
Man in the Moon actually is out of all to me out of all the post Polygram Records LA Gun stuff, I think Man in the Moon is the best record. I'm saying, after Hollywood Vampires, anything after Hollywood Vampires, and there were a lot of records.
Yeah,
I think Man in the Moon is their best of that period. Number 3, I've got No Mercy. First album. Oh yeah. They would open with that song on tour every night. And it's just vicious, man. They were a really good live band on that first tour. I mean, we were on the road for 10 months straight. So they were really firing on all cylinders. Tight, man. They were really tight and just like a bulldozer, at that point. But from playing every night, and it was No Mercy was a great set opener, just like steamroller. Again, the old original LA Guns vibe. That's LA Guns to me.
Yeah. Like I said, you can't go wrong in any of those songs.
No.
All right, Rosie, what'd you have for number 3?
I really promise I'm not trying to give you guys like weird looks right now. My cat, one of my cats, Misfit, is he's chasing a fly right now, and I have like all these lights set up around me, and I'm just hoping he doesn't set my house on fire. So I went with the Ballad of Jane for number 3.
Yeah, I can see
Classic
that.
ballad.
yeah. I mean, that was
their
their hit.
biggest hit.
I mean, that was their biggest song. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as chart position and video and all that stuff.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, you guys know I like my ballads. It comes with the vagina. So.
We like ballads too.
Yeah, that's my excuse
You
too.
love vaginas or you love ballads?
We like
I
both.
love vagina. I'm a vagina
yeah,
guy.
we like both.
No doubt.
Don't you lie, Aaron.
About which one?
Good pick though. That's a good pick though.
Yeah. All right, Dustin, what'd you have for number 3?
Number 3, I got one off of Cocked and Loaded. I think the guitar intro to it is fucking fire. I Want to Be Your Man.
Good
Just
song.
Oh,
that
yeah.
opening.
Yeah.
He really fucking shines with that. That definitely his Eddie Van Halen influence shines on the beginning of that song.
Yeah, that
That
was
was
my
like
favorite song of that all back then.
I think that was like a bonus track. That wasn't even like original, track 1 through 15 or whatever. That was like a bonus track at the end, if I'm correct.
Oh hell, I didn't know that.
Now I have
Yeah,
a question about that song. I've always heard it was a Beatles cover.
No, well, the Beatles wrote a song called "I Want to Be Your Man," and then the Stones did it first. They gave it to the Stones, and then the Stones did it before the Beatles, and then after that, the Beatles recorded it. But it's a completely different song.
Oh, okay.
The "I Want to Be Your Man" LA Gun song was tacked on at the end as like an extra track.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like the first video was Rip and Tear, then Ballad of Jane, and then I think maybe it was Malaria was a video.
Never
and then
enough.
they did
Also.
Never enough.
they did Never Enough, right? Never Enough.
Yeah.
So they did 3 videos, and then the 4th video was I Want to Be Your Man at the very end of the promotional cycle for that record. Yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Trex, or is it your
it's me.
turn?
Yeah.
Number 3.
Okay, number 3.
Yeah, I had to change it because I originally had Bitches Back, but I changed it to Sleazy Come, Easy Go, Cocked and Loaded in 1989. I
Good
always
pick.
liked that song.
Nice little bass intro.
The lyrics were awesome.
All right. I continue on the Cocked and Loaded. My number 3, kind of a deep track, Magdalene.
Yeah, that's on my honorable mention.
Yeah, that's a good song. Like you don't
Yeah.
ever hear nobody talk about that song.
Yeah.
That's another. They're in Cocked and Loaded. Steve Riley and Tracy were trying to be Led Zeppelin a lot. If you listen to the drums on that song, Magdalene, it's like a galloping. It's very. What's that Zeppelin song? Immigrant Song. It's like a galloping beat. And they were really on the Zeppelin kick, Tracy and Steve. There's a lot of those influences on Cocked and Loaded. As far as the songs and the arrangements and the production, very very Zeppelin-y at times.
Well,
And then Tracy did that. Well, I think it's Magdalene. No, or I can't remember which song, but he does the theremin. He has.
Yep, it's that song.
Theremin.
Yeah.
I can't remember what song that's on. And again, that's Jimmy Page. I mean,
Yeah.
he wasn't shy about his influences, Tracy.
All right, Mike, what'd you have for number 2?
Oh, it's my turn again. I was just been talking.
Yep.
Electric Gypsy. I think that song, more than any other LA Gun song, defines what the band is, or how they're viewed, or how they were viewed by the public at the time. I mean, their T-shirts said, sex, booze, and tattoos, bikers, Harleys, gypsies. That really, to me, defined the band, image-wise with the video and everything, for 1988 at least.
Yeah. That is an awesome song. That was my number 1. I had to change it.
All right, Tracy, what's your number 2?
For number 2, I have Get Along.
What's that off of?
That was on. Oh, I don't remember that. It kind of looked like the original album, but I don't remember the name of the album.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Yeah, I don't either. Mike,
I
you
don't
know
know
that
that.
one?
Something
I don't know what that is. No.
newish.
It might be one like an essential or something, a greatest hits, but I have it on the same playlist as like Dog and Cannonball.
Okay, that's newer stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
I've
have to
been
check
off
it
a
out.
Vicious Circle.
Was Phil singing on that one?
I think so.
I'll have to check it out. I'm sure I have it. I'll have to check it out. All right, Dustin, what you have for number 2?
Number 2, Mike's already said this one also, and for good reason. The opening song to the first album, No Mercy. I mean, the song just fucking rips, man. And like he said, they opened up with it. Just if that song doesn't get your attention, especially live, then get the fuck out. You don't know what's up. That song just rips, man. No Mercy.
Yeah, it's a
Oh
good
yeah.
song. All right, Trex, what was your number 2?
My number 2 was Hollywood Tease from the self-title. Got any story
Yeah.
about that song?
I mean, that's originally a girl by the band Girl. You know, Phil
Yep.
Lewis's original first band wrote that song. He wrote that song with Phil Collins, who later was in Def Leppard, who's in Def Leppard now. But that's an old Girl song that they brought over and just put on the album. I mean, Girl made zero impact in America. I mean, no one knew or cared anything about Girl. So it was like, to everyone that heard it, was like a LA Gun song, you know, because Girl weren't very big at all, period. I mean, they had a little thing going in Japan, and they had some, you know, they did an English tour. They opened for Kiss on one tour. But they weren't very big in the sense of record sales or international recognition. They were known in London and in Japan. So Hollywood Tease is like, it's really became an LA Gun song. They did that every night, first album, first tour, every night, Hollywood Tease.
It's awesome.
Always went over great.
Yeah, I love the way he sings on that.
Yeah. He was very comfortable with that when they re-recorded it for LA Guns, because he had, you know, sang it multiple times in his life, you know, with the Girl. So
Yeah.
that was, he was familiar with that song in and out. So it was easy for him to do. Yeah. That Girl album, that came out originally in 1980.
Oh wow. That was
Yep.
Phil
Damn.
Collins was a member of that, right?
Phil
Yeah,
Collins and
yeah, that's
Girl.
what he said. Yeah,
Girl, I mean, Phil Lewis is older, you know, was older than everybody, like Steve Riley. I mean, Phil, you know, Phil was, you know, dating Britt Eklund, if you know who that is, in the 70s, you know, in the 80s, early 80s, late 70s. I mean, one of Rod Stewart's ex-model girlfriends. Phil had been around the block by the time he got to LA Guns.
that's awesome.
Yep.
All right, my number 2, Mike, you've spoken this one already, but Sex Action.
Yeah.
That guitar riff, man, that's so good. And that was the first song I heard from them. I saw the video and I was like, oh man, these guys are awesome, you know, like,
Yeah.
the video is cool.
Yeah. Reeled me in, you know, being like a 13-year-old kid had my attention, for sure.
Oh
Yeah,
for sure.
teenager, and you hear the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mike, what'd you have for number 1?
Number 1, I've got One More Reason.
Good song.
Yeah, they did a video for that song that they financed themselves, which ended up, that was what really got them their record deal. So they made this video, which is out there, you know, it's on YouTube. But they paid for that video and to have it done to get the record deal. That's what kind of sealed the deal, was that video.
And Nikki Beats in the video, right?
Nikki Beats in the video, yeah.
Yep.
Nikki Beats in the video, and he played on that first album. You know, it's not Steve Riley. So Nikki, you know, that video is LA Guns. That's what LA Guns. That's the LA Guns that got signed. That's the LA Guns that made the first record. That's the image and the vibe of what got them onto Polygram. And after that first album, they switched management, everything changed. Steve Riley had come into the band, and then they became a heavy metal band, double bass drums and all that. Nicky Beat was more of a single bass drummer. Steven Adler maybe comparison, just not a heavy metal guy, more of a punk rock guy. So yeah, one more reason. Go that video to me sums up everything about what LA Guns is in that video and that song.
Oh yeah. All right, Rosie, what's that for number one?
I went with Never Enough.
Good song.
Yeah, great song. Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah.
The one thing about
Good video too.
The one thing about LA Guns is their hits were all good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Reason
for
why.
sure.
They're still really.
I mean, they had good songs, but they just they only had gold albums. They never had platinum albums. I mean, Cocked and Loaded in the first album went gold. They didn't go platinum. I mean, and those are the days when people like Bon Jovi were selling, 10, 12, 15 million records. Def Leppard, all these bands were selling mega records. LA Guns just didn't really have the radio songs. They weren't, there's so many factors of why a band makes it or doesn't make it past a certain level. But they tried to do that with Cocked and Loaded. They had different producers. They had different management. They started writing with other people. I mean, if you look at the writing credits on those Cocked and Loaded songs, there's all kinds of people on there. Outside writers. They were trying to be radio friendly. They got there with Ballad of Jane. They really tried to do it with Hollywood Vampires, but it was, by that point, Hollywood Vampires came out, I think, the same month as like Nirvana or something, so it just was over by that point. They were trying to be more radio friendly on Hollywood Vampires.
Kiss My Love Goodbye. Kiss My Love Goodbye.
Yeah.
Very radio friendly.
Right. They were trying to go that way, but they by the time the grunge thing kicked in hard, that was it. All those bands just see ya. So unfortunately, LA Guns got cut short there, and then everybody starts fighting and arguing, and that's the end.
Yeah.
But they're still going, so God bless.
Hell yeah. All right, Dustin, what was your number one?
My number one's off of Cocked and Loaded. Probably my favorite song off Cocked and Loaded. I love the fucking guitar riff to this. Mike and I did talk about this a little while ago. Mike and I talked about this, and I asked Mike. I saw Tracy Guns did a something for Guitar World or Guitar Center, or his signature Kramer guitar, and he was talking about different LA Guns riffs. And the song I'm talking about is Rip and Tear. And he said he had said in this that Mick Cripps had come over to his house at the time and was like, "We need a song like When the Whip Comes Down from the Stones." So Tracy was like, "Well, I guess we need a song like When the Whip Comes Down from the Stones." So I went and listened to that Stones song, and this is where Mike and I talked about it. Mike said there's another influence in that song, but I certainly hear the Rolling Stones influence in that riff. And I do love that song.
Yeah. I mean, my recollection of that was Mick wrote that riff. And then, I guess they do, Tracy and him or whoever else got involved and took it and finished the song. But that was more of like a AC/DC riff. Because LA Guns had opened for AC/DC in '88, and Mick was born in Australia, so he got along really well with Angus and the Youngs. So to me, that's what that was. But again, he's a big Stones fan like I am, and When the Whip Comes Down is one of his favorite Stones songs. So that could be. But I remember him kind of telling me about the AC/DC thing. So, but it's definitely that kind of a riff. But that was a Mick thing that started with Mick, and then I don't know who got the final writing credits on the album. I don't know. But Mick was definitely a big part of that song.
All right, Trax, what'd you have for number one?
Number one, I had to change it because Electric Gypsy was my number one. So I Found
Yeah.
You from Hollywood Vampires. I love that
Hmm.
song. That's
Haven't
like
heard
the
that in a
ultimate
while.
ballad to me.
Yeah. Yeah, they were, you know, I mean, in those days, everybody had to do a ballad. I mean, you had to have a ballad on your album. It's just, you know, if you didn't, they'd make you go write one. So, you know, I'm not, I mean, I know that song, but I haven't heard it in so many years. I couldn't tell you much about it, but
Yeah, I haven't heard it in a while.
yeah,
Well, they had like
you
two
know,
ballads on this album.
Well, see, it's funny because
yeah,
my number one off of Hollywood Vampires, Crystallized.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I about 6 or 7 years ago, they played here and I got them to do that song. It wasn't on the set list, and I got to hear them do it live, and it was
wow,
pretty awesome. Yeah, it's
wow,
a great song.
yeah, that's, I mean, I remember the origins of that being with Phil Lewis. Again, you know, uh, even though I only worked for those guys for a year, I was very tight with Mick and Kelly, and I'm still very tight with Mick. So you know, they'd send you demos or pieces. You know, here's a song we're working on, whatever. So I remember that kind of being a Phil thing. You know, Phil and Tracy probably. But the lyrics are all, you know, I mean, Phil wrote the lyrics, and he was into that whole, you know, crystallized gypsy vibe. You know, he's into all that. So yeah, that was a good song. Um, I remember seeing them do that live somewhere.
Yeah, we're getting low on time, so we can either start wrapping up, or we can start over in a couple of minutes. And if you got some stories to tell, or if not, you just want to promote, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I would just say to people, if you're interested, go to my Instagram, 1985 Road Dog, and there's a link in the bio, but there's a lot of links to my different YouTube videos where I tell stories about being on the road with LA Guns or partying with Motley Crue or whatever. I've got a lot of videos on YouTube, but the best way to find that, because there's so many channels called before I forget. So the best way to find it is just go to 1985 Road Dog, ROADDOG, and then there's a link in the bio to my videos. And yeah, it's a lot of stories, a lot of memories on there. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's always fun to talk about, you know, bands and LA Guns and music and whatever.
Yeah, we went to show you have great stories, man. That's why I was honored to have you on, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that boy. Before I forget shit, man, I love it, bro.
Thank you, man. I
Look
you know,
forward to every episode.
I just recorded a new Motley Crue one, like probably my last Motley Crue one. That I just finished that one, so that'll be coming soon. People, I mean, that's all people want to hear. It's just, you know, I try to go in different directions, but it's just like Motley Crue. Everybody wants Motley Crue stories. So,
Well, you and I got to talk more Twisted Sister on Instagram private then, because I want to
yeah,
hear. I love the early Twisted Sister shit, man.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
Twisted Sister, old club days, Twisted Sister. You know, late '70s, early '80s. It was they were unbelievable band. Like,
Yeah.
You know, if you've not gotten into that or seen or heard that, go check out the Club Days stuff from Twisted Sister.
That's the shit I love, man. Up to Under the Blade is everything.
Yeah,
that
you
I
have
love.
to come back on, and we'll talk some Twisted Sisters.
Yeah.
We can do it.
Yeah, we can do a top five on that. That's one of my favorite bands too.
Yeah.
And I've never got to see
Yeah,
them.
I got a lot of good Twisted Sister stories. Yeah, anytime, man. I'd love to do it.
Well,
All right, thanks. We're out of time.
awesome. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right,
Thanks
Bye and
again,
out.
Mike.
Check out. Thank you.
Bye and out.
Yes.